in essence. And then also, if you look at the aspect to do with inflation, we are escalating it to a point where it's going toward 20%. And obviously, we are talking also of aspect to do with the the challenges that we are facing with power. I understand energy is in crisis. So those are, complementing factors that are sitting on the table as it is. Yeah.
Right.
Okay, so sir, in addition to all of that, how do you feel, we have targets as a country on how we are going to develop the country, and also goals and how we would like to develop it, and also just targets to reduce poverty. How do you believe this downgrade will affect achieving these targets that have been placed?
Well, we understand that this target, which has been downscaled, was basically a benchmark we could have actually see for us to actually augment or take forward a very good outlook. But owing to the fact that we are now getting backward, this actually is complementing strongly also from a perspective of now having a lot of pressure around most of the commodities. Yeah, so basically we are not going to achieve the benchmark according to the UN standard, according to the World Bank standard, and according to the IMF standard, and even according to our Minister of Finance. Meaning what we're trying to do is basically trying to see how we can, work around some of the key fundamentals that are required to be fired up. This entails also to say that our projection, or in terms of performance, we are not able to perform to the expected level of compliance. So meaning what we need to do now is to look at mitigative, solutions. Should be able to work around and see how we can help buffer the performance that is required.
Right. In respect to, the various reforms that need to take place and really what needs to be implemented at the moment, getting to the time that we were about to be granted the IMF deal, there was so much speculation about what would lie within that, document. We haven't been made so privy to the information, but I think there's been reflections given, and people can deduce what exactly would be going on in as far as the agreement of that we have now signed with the IMF is. But looking at our current position now, what would be your projections in as far as the various measures that that the IMF would have granted us to be able to meet with the standard of the agreement, as it were?
You see, the challenging part is that the economic conditions right now are exposed to different factors, external and internal. Obviously, if you are to look at working around this, I think some of the things that are externally coming on the table, like uncontrollable factors of climate or dramatic issues of environmental aspect, has actually played into this. But again, also, what we should be able to see is it's a situation where we have to align some of the policies, like top of the line. We need to look at a few aspects. This has actually become one of the biggest factors because, you see, we are interplaying the economy with energy. And if we can actually look at the twin challenge that we are facing, electricity and fuel, these are quite challenging factors. So now, if you are to maybe mitigate a proper moderate policy and support around, energy sector, I think that will be able to, align ourselves to the projection.
Right.
But again, also we need to also do a lot of intervention in the forex market because that is where a lot of things are also interplaying from there. And if you look at the cost pressure and many other issues, also emanating from food insecurity aspect. So we just need to find a way of moderating effects around all these economic effects.
Right.
Then we'll be able to,
but
take ourselves.
Is this something that's achievable, Mr. Tsanga? Because you do recall that there was a time that we're speaking of, the reduction on subsidies, actually the removal of subsidies in totality in as far as fuel is concerned. But in other energy areas, we're still being subsidized in as far as, the electricity is concerned. What do you feel would be the way forward for us? Because this has been granted that would be maybe one of the issues that are underlying within the deal that we've signed with the IMF, that we get rid of the subsidies, that we, and subject people to high taxes as well. What for you would be the way forward for us, looking at where we are today?
We have just to bite the bullet, ensuring that we continue importing power. I think that's the best way for now in the medium term, so that we can actually mitigate the impact because obviously what we are trying to do is that if we continue having this load shedding, component, we are basically driving away our good elements on the economic front. So we just need to find a striking balance to ensure that the energy sector is actually a little bit of sustainable, supply.
Right.
And then also we need to look at importation of some key commodities like maize and few other consumable items, so that we can actually save a number of masses from there. Then also we need to find some striking balance around, manufacturing aspect, and ensuring that we have a common and brand aspect of factors to just stabilize some of the key fundamentals and continue also intervening into the forex market. Of course, what we need to do is, of course, with the forex market, we need to ensure that we look at a modest way in which we should be able to sustain this. Otherwise, as it is right now, it becomes a difficult situation because we are pulling energy from outside, meaning we are interusing that. And again, also, we are at a point where a lot of currencies are being beaten from that angle in terms of regional integrations.
Right.
So we just need to find a way we can actually strike around some of these key factors.
Sorry, is this balance even truly achievable? Especially with energy. We have spoken, for the longest time, we have opted to say we do import more power because we can't manage what we have, and we've depended on hydroelectricity for the longest time. And due to the drought and the climate change that we're experiencing, we're incapable of managing that as of now. So if we've heard anyway, I don't know how true it is, Landilani, we've heard of investments in solar energy, and so many other options of renewable energy. But truly, if these investments are being made or considered, will we truly have a new and great impact? And also you brought to light slightly on how we could, invest in the manufacturing industry and all these industries to be able to help our economy boost up, right? But do we have the right terms and conditions to be able to accommodate us, as Zambians, to be able to move forward in this regard?
You see, this is where we need now to make a collective mind around what is happening. Obviously, when you look at the energy sector or in totality, we are talking of it being forced into some bit of crisis. The other aspect that we have actually been subjected this economy to a monthly cost calculator in terms of energy aspect, particularly the fuel. So if we can basically interplay some bit of storage, and also ensuring that we have forward contract, or even just some way of trying to stabilize the supply of fuel into this country, I think that would be the element that can actually work out. Because, you see, for the past 2 years, the country has been subjecting this economy into the situation of monthly reviews, which has not sustainably given the situation which should be able to portray positive nature. So we just need to find a way of striking a good balance around that. Then again, also looking at the situation around forex market, I think that is also one thing which has really been not worked out in a way, because when you look at copper production last year was 20%, reduction, and it has continued to be the same, owing to the fact that we have a situation where we are not interplaying so well with the investors. So it's high time we just need to engage as well to see how the policy can sit with the current investors that we are actually being able to have. Right. And again, also, this is it's more or less like a policy issue, because you see, the production of copper for some time now has been going downward, even despite having a very good tax regime within the sector. So that also needs to be looked at critically and ensure that to say, where can we also pinpoint some of the biggest issues that we're facing in this situation, because we have stabilized the mining sector in terms of predictability. We are able to predict how the mine should be able to work in terms of revenue on the tax side. But why is it that the wheels of the investment and investors are slow? Then we need to actually interrogate issues from there. And this is where we are. So now, looking at also the challenge that we are also facing as well, we are at a point where copper is in super cycle. It's standing so strong to a point where we are transitioning into green energy. And this is an opportunity that should be able to be utilized to the fullest capacity, but we are moving very slow with this. And again, also look at the agriculture sector. Zambia's got about 42 million hectares of land, but only utilizing about 15%. Worse off now with these climate change issues, we have done about maybe 8%. So this is where we now need to interplay into irrigation system and technologies as well within the agriculture sector. So a number of things that can be done are quite just on the table. I think it's just the mindset that we have, which is quite a different set. So we just need to see how we can pull ourselves from this kind of thinking.
Right. How does this downgrade that we're facing with the economy now get to affect, in foreign investment as well as trade and just the overall, economic competitiveness of the country, as it were? Where does it place us?
First of all, the investors, they look at these numbers as key benchmarks for them to actually pull their funds or capital into any promising country. For example, in our economic structure, basically we have not been able to, get some good substantial investors for the longest period of time because of the debt issues that was standing, which has also been now been moving a bit. So now with the aspect of downgrading, it becomes a difficult situation because obviously they will see that if they come into the economy, they will be the ones that will be eating so much hard on the economic front, meaning that there will be higher taxation. And that also does not give the confidence for them to actually move the capital into the economy. And that also translates again also into high level of unemployment as it is, low production, and obviously it's an issue where it will not have other cascading effect as well as along the line.
Right.
Yeah.
When you speak of, the other effects that this downgrade will have, what are some of the social implications of this? Really, what does it mean for the average Zambian in this case when we speak of the inflation rate pegging at 2.3%?
See, the bottom line here is that the more we have escalating inflation, we are also putting pressure on the normal Zambian or ordinary Zambian, because what inflation entails in this case, it's a tax on a poor man's side. So if basically you have inflation sparking, it means we are now losing the capital or even just the cost of doing business. Because what we entail now at the end of it is that the central bank, when they come forth to curb or to moderate that inflation, they will raise the interest rate through the monetary policy rate. And in the end now, we have a very bad transmission mechanism on the average Zambian in the sense of maybe essential goods and other essential factors at household level. Yeah.
Right. Well, when we speak of diversity really within the economy, to have to reduce dependence on copper exports and also just mitigate the external shocks, what would you advise would be the best step? I know you highlighted this, that we need to look into areas of value addition in as far as our minerals are concerned. But what else could we improve on besides just the mining and agriculture sectors?
You see, okay, just within the mining, maybe before I jump to the other verticals of the economy, obviously we understand that the mining sector has not been fully explored in terms of trying to governize ideas around mineral diversity, because you see, we've got even new minerals which are quite high value, which we have not been able to put as strategic minerals in this case. And much more so, it's a good thing that this year's budget is talking of trying to do job mapping, where we should be able to understand the asset value of Zambia in terms of mineral aspect, and that also will be able to change some of the situation that we are able to see. And then coming to other aspect, I think agriculture still stands to be a good complementary factor to actually change the face of Zambia in terms of economic structure, because agriculture has not been utilized to the fullest capacity. We've got good weather pattern, even if we are facing with this dramatic situation today of climate change. But again, also the issue is that Zambia has got a lot of advantageous features that should be able to underscore so within the tourism sector. Right. We have underutilized tourism potential, owing to the fact that we are not able to do a lot of exploration and and variation within the sector of tourism. And even when it comes to energy, energy also is an important element that Zambia can even interplay into the regional market as well.
Right.
We can make energy to be one of the non-traditional export as well. We are basically exporting part of it in Namibia, and we have not explored the eastern part of Africa where load shedding is an everyday factor. So
Exactly.
we need to look at that as well as one of the biggest factors that should be able to help interplay as well in the regional market.
Right.
Yeah.
Now,
Okay.
it has been said, that this government of the UPND has been quite disciplinary in as far as, its fiscal management is concerned. Just how critical is fiscal discipline, especially when you're looking at management of debt? We are still, dealing with so many issues in that regard, and in just addressing the various economic challenges facing Zambia. How important is us having to be able to have the fiscal discipline?
Okay, fiscal fitness is an important component in the budget implementation and even just in the public resource as well, because obviously I'm sure you might be privy to what has been happening with the debt restructuring process, which has taken almost like 3 years, talking about how we should be able to settle this. Good enough that we have settled 77% of the debt restructuring process, remaining with the other creditors who will be able to work out. Obviously, what we have seen over time, because of the debt being ballooned, we could not even attend to some of the critical requirements of the economy, like incentivizing social protection and many others. I'm sure you must have heard at some point where social empowerment, like social cash transfer, was actually suspended at some point because our fiscal discipline was not actually good. Yeah, so obviously, yes, it's an act of balance right now, trying to see how we can trigger the economic fundamentals to move forward, and also how we can protect the most vulnerable as well. Because you can imagine if you are growing the economy with the poor people down there, it means you are bringing along prostitutes, you are bringing along thieves and all that. So you cannot grow the economy with thieves. That's why you find now issues of corruption and many others. So it needs an equal balance in terms of trying to work around that. And fiscal fitness comes to interplay into a lot of other aspects where obviously the tax issues are also concerned, where we are also servicing the debts as well. So if we are basically having a situation where the fiscal discipline is not there, it becomes very difficult. And this is where we have found ourselves in, for a long time, from the time when we started defaulting and up to time when we are now almost concluding to, make this debt issue past our site.
Right.
Yeah.
Sir, you have brought to light the fact that this is affecting everyone. This downgrade in our economy is affecting everyone, and it's left every single Zambian vulnerable. But some Zambians more vulnerable than the others. What do you believe? What social protective measures could be put in place to be able to ensure that the more vulnerable Zambians are protected?
Yeah, see, the social cash transfer is still in force. And we understand that we've got a number of social empowerment schemes, even under some other ministries, like the Ministry of Agriculture, where FISIP is also some sort of like social empowerment element. And we've got also even the youth empowerment scheme. So basically, it's a social intervention that need to be enhanced there, and ensuring that the monies that are within the budgetary allocations should be able to be dispensed, and also have the accountability as well. And even when you talk about the CDF, it's also coming as part of those elements that are being helped, to give that leverage for the poor people to actually pull out of the current situation, as it were. So there are quite a number of interventions that are being done. Others are also being done from the private sector as well, where companies are also trying to do some other social schemes which are also aimed to complement and supplement government's efforts. Yeah.
Right. You've spoken of, the various interventions and even just the potential that this country has in order for it to grow its economy, as it were. But really, what opportunities exist for Zambia to leverage technology, innovation, and just regional integration as well to drive the economic growth as a whole?
Well, Zambia is even region for many regional markets. As I mentioned, agriculture poses to be one of the key significant elements in the region, obviously because of the water bodies that we have. Surprising, we have water bodies in the northern part of Zambia. We are not having to utilize this to the fullest capacity or scale. What we find in Luapula and Northern Province and many others, they're quite big, water bodies that can also be utilized for power generation as well, and used also for many other activities, even farming actually. So again, also we are looking at opportunities that poses with Zambia in terms of mineral aspect. Remember, Zambia was the #1 producer of copper.
That's right.
But you know what has made Zambia to go past DRC? Because of the policy inconsistency. For the past, I think, 15 years, we have changed the policy tax regime within the mining sector for about 10 times. And that is not healthy. And that has also really augmented to where we are, because Zambia should be the first one to produce copper. It should be the topmost, actually, in this case. And then again, also, we've got the drive, which is a very quite strong driving green transition, where electric cars are concerned. We've got all the minerals that are required. We've got manganese, cobalt, anything that you mentioned to actually work around the transition process of green energy or into electric cars. All these are actually quite in huge quantum of deposit here in Zambia, and that's an advantage for us. Then again, also, the issue that has also posed Zambia to go backward is the political system. I think that the political tenure brings all these factors to where we are. So we need to maybe work around a political dispensation which should be able to stimulate economic drive. Right. And much of what I would say is that I think we need to depoliticize the economy and ensuring that the economy remains as it is. And some of the aspects, like, for example, I'm giving a typical example of running an economy on 24-hour. It should not be a jacket of a political situation. It should be now embedded into national development plan. Right. So some of these ideas that are basically good in nature, they should be able to move away from politics, and then we let economic aspect and the policies run without interference.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, copper is our greatest export in this country. So in that regard, when you look at the tax and the various tax policies that have existed over the years, owing to transitioning governments, which one would you say has been the best so far, and what would be the best way forward for Zambia in that regard?
Transitioning mineral aspect?
Exactly.
Okay, so we understand that we've got emerald here. We've got even the one that was actually discovered, sugarite. All these factors are basically, giving a significant exposure to see how we can actually make money from there. Right. So what basically need to be done is to have a mineral diversity strategy work in right direction, so that we can actually push the best 5 mineral assets that should be able to be a flanter for Zambia. And this is what we need to do to accelerate the mining product, just to be on the forefront of what we should be able to do. And then again, also the aspect of trying to look at copper. Now we need to go into value addition, and this is a key element. For the past, I think, more than 50 years now, Zambia has been exporting copper in its raw form. It's high time we need to actually have it in vertical processing or vertical integration processes, so that we are able to make fully of what this copper actually entails.
Right. But Mr. Sanga,
we are just talking about...
Yeah, well, sorry to cut you short there for a bit, but when you look at, the various tax policies that have been set by various governments in this country, what in your in your understanding and your wisdom really would be the best way for us to go? I mean, there was an introduction of windfall tax, which was later done away with, which seemed good and really did well for this country. What would be the best way to go in as far as implementing tax is concerned?
You see, the biggest challenging factor is the fluctuation that also takes place in the global market. Yeah, you may be privy that the windfall tax, quite an important element that was actually worked out as a policy framework that particular time, during the time of Levi Mwanawasa, and many other who could have also implemented this. But again, also the issue that the the market patterns sometimes do not detect us to have that moderate and sustainable, cost structure or tax structure in that way.
Right.
So what maybe we need to do is to look at creating a 5-year tax formula, which should also work more or less like a windfall tax, where whenever production goes down, the tax also has to, take that step, accompanying it in the formula. So we need to find something that can be flexible, which can moderate as a shifting span in terms of how we should be able to work out. Yeah.
Right. Well, I do know that you have a question, Mainza.
I do,
Just
you
in
know.
closing, yeah.
In closing, there's so many. I believe a lot of things that have happened in our economy have hit us as a shock, and I feel like we continue to keep experiencing some bad news, right? So, what risks and uncertainties should the Zambians be aware of, and what things should policymakers put in place, right, for us to not experience more shock, or in the occasion that we do, experience something shocking? What should be put in place for us to be able to be aware and alert?
Okay, the first thing that we need to do, as the first precursor in this case, is to maybe formulate a national body that can be looking at economic effects that we normally face. And obviously, some of these things, technocrat from Bank of Zambia, Office of the President, and many others, they are quite aware of what we face as perennial issues. And much of what we can also look, it's an issue to do with the how well can we interplay with the forex market again, because that is the biggest denominator in this case. Because what we have done to ourselves, that we drive so much of the desire to work or to interplay with the forex market during September and October, and September and December. And then we have also got a pattern that has actually also keep recurring, like the case of electricity. We had this situation in 2014, 2015. We are still having this today. So there must be a way we can actually mitigate some of these things. Now, coming back to what the people should be expecting, if I got it right from you, obviously we need to find a very good way of communication. I think the governments and the government to come, there must be a way they should be able to communicate to the public very well. Even when it comes to the issues of electricity and many other aspects that we're able to see, I think it's a matter of communication as well. Even when it comes to agriculture aspect as well, where we're having cost pressure in essential goods, I think communication has not been able to cascade very well. So we just need to see how we can work around that. But again, also in terms of working around issues to do with the mitigating some of these effects with political nature, I think we need just to involve every political umbrella and every stakeholders to work a model that can have a 5-year focus. Despite maybe being an opposition, there must be a way of supporting a 5-year project or product in terms of policy framework. I think that's what we need to do to avoid some of these things that we have actually been able to see. And again, also, we've got uncontrollable factors like the drought system, the supply short of maybe key essential goods in the manufacturing, and many others. So all these are issues that also we can also work with the advisory board that looks at risk factors. So even when it comes to the presidents, maybe there must be a body that should be able to advise, even when they are making policies. They should be aware where, aspect of risk factors should be communicated very well to avoid certain policy pronunciation as well. So these are the issues that we need to look at. You see, when you start the environment very well, you not make any mistakes. So I think Zambia needs a lot of research and development.
Right.
Yes.
Right. And in respect to the research and development that needs to go on, the question that we've been asking this morning is whether or not Zambia's economic downturn is reversible. In light of that, what would be your answer as well? What could be the expected, economic recovery time as well? The Zambians are all about today. They want
Deadlines.
to see change exactly happen today.
That's
Now,
right.
we do know that some of these things may take a little longer to implement. So what would be the, I should say, realistic time frame we should be looking at in order for us to recover our economy?
Well, Zambia's economic structure will happen to have a good rebound as we go in 2026. As it stands right now, we are sitting on a very difficult situation. Inflation is not going to slow down this year. We are expecting inflation to cool down early next year, maybe second quarter.
Right.
Then again, also, we are expecting the exchange market to perform in a little bit of a parallel condition. But again, also, the issue is that we are going to have the forex aspect because of the pull that we are doing with the importation of maize, electricity, oil, and many others. So this, as it stands right now, we were going to see this, prolonging for some time. But again, also, how we can reverse is to work around the policies. If we are driving, energy products into the nation, I think there must be some tax waivers which should be able to help from there. And again, also, we need also to look at, of course, the good part is that the energy gadgets and agriculture, irrigation products have also been given a tax waiver in a way. So that is what actually is going to come as a balancing, act on this. But as it is right now, the economy is running on both offsetting and complementary effects. But as we are able to see, we have more on the offsetting side. What we need is to create a system of buffering complementary effects so that we can actually grow the economy.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, Mr. Tsanga, it's always a pleasure to have to discuss these matters with you. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you. It's my pleasure.
Right. We're speaking with renowned economist in Mr. Kevin Stanga, looking at Zambia's economic recovery and whether this downturn is reversible or not, as our growth rate has been pegged at 2.3% by the International Monetary Fund. We'll be taking a short break at this point in time. We do get back more of the Sunrise Breakfast. We're still looking at matters to do with energy and how that, there could be some underlying factors in as far as low-cost solar panels are concerned. So we'll be getting into that discussion with engineer Boniface Zulu in just a short moment from now. Do stay tuned. We'll be right back after this.
Hi.
This is a place that meets your educational needs of today. A place where you can become a nurse, public health scientist, a clinical officer, a teacher, a captain of industry, or your own boss. Excel in leadership and theology. A place to discover your passion and the pathway to achieve excellence. Come, experience the world you want to create. Diversity creates new dimension and different religions. A place where you can choose your own faculty, programs, and schedule. Begin your journey with your dream job offer and a mastered future roadmap. Cressa University is accredited by the Higher Education Authority. Not just a university in Zambia, but ranked amongst the top universities in the country. This is Cressa University, where you will meet your educational needs of today.
Time to think about how you can grow your business in northern Luapula and part of Muchinga province. Kasama Radio is here to help you grow bigger and better. Advertise your products and services with Kasama Radio as we have excellent services, wide network coverage, crystal clear transmission. For business advertisement, program sponsorship, call our marketing department on 0779 815445. 0779 815445 or 0977 664645, 0977 664645, or email us on kasamaradio@gmail.com, or better still visit our website www.kasamafmradio.com or our Facebook page Kasama Radio Limited 87.7 FM. Kasama Radio Limited, your joy is our pride.
Guys, we need to upload this folder. But this system is not working. Where's this system? We have a deadline. This is already 11:50.
Cindy, find us a better network now.
Hello, is that Fibercom? Okay.
Yes, 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 yes. You're Superman.
I told you about Fibercom.
How did you know that?
It's the best.
Oh, it's Cindy. Anyway, she saved the day, and you were right.
See?
Welcome back. You're still watching the Sunrise Breakfast Show. Now, we're getting into a discussion around the energy sector and really looking at low-cost solar panels. Are they really a real good deal? And joining us to discuss further on this is a renowned engineer Boniface Zulu, who is an energy expert. Good morning, sir, and welcome to the Sunrise Breakfast.
Good morning, and good morning to the viewers.
Right. Let's get straight into it. What are the primary factors to consider when evaluating the cost of effectiveness, of low-cost solar equipment?
Low-cost solar equipment has got running costs in it, which also are not a good thing for the investor, who's the consumer at the end of the day. Because when we look at the fact that you have low-cost equipment, meaning that it's going to be prone to a lot of problems that you might face, like failure of the equipment just upon even installation. And this will also not give the confidence in the user and other potential users to say, we purchased this system and we had bargained for a cheaper cost, but then it's not doing the intended job that it's supposed to do. Then this goes back to where we are going to make maintenance works more expensive, as well as even changing of the equipment, which is not a good thing. Currently in the Zambian market, personally as an expert, because as a new energy science and technology engineer, I'm trained to build these systems, and not just by any ordinary person, but the Chinese, who are the best in producing these systems. So when I look at our town center there, it's flooded with low quality equipment, which is meant for the low income society, which has not been a very good look for the country, because most ordinary Zambians don't have confidence in the technology itself. Right. Once installations are done, they do not meet the expectations of the consumer due to the fact that these are low quality systems. You find an inverter, which is a 5 kVA inverter, going for 8,000. Are we being real with each other? And that is not a very good look, because it's just like you. If you find an iPhone being sold at 200 kwacha, you ask yourself to say, is this really an iPhone? Because you go into town, you find an inverter going for 8,000, and you're like, if I install this as an installer, what is the durability for this? Is this going to actually do the intended job that it's supposed to do? And what is the duration for it to run? Because these inverters are supposed to run for at least 12 years, but then 12 to 15 years. Right. But then you find that the inverter will actually die in the next 1 year or 2 years, but somebody purchased it at 8,000. Then you look at the batteries as well. We've got the AGM batteries, the lithium-ion batteries. So with the lithium-ion batteries, I've seen SVOT being used in Zambia, which is a very good system, but it's much on the expensive side. Lithium-ion batteries, 100 ampere-hour battery is going for somewhere around 19,000. A 200 ampere-hour battery is going for somewhere around 40 to 50,000. Now, these are very good quality systems. Lithium-ion batteries, I haven't seen any downgrade in terms of poor quality. But then we come to the AGM batteries and flooded batteries. You'll find in town center and Kamwala, you'll find a battery which is a 100 ampere-hour battery being sold at 6,000, 7,000. And then 200 ampere-hour going for 8,000, 9,000. Now, this is not going to work for you for a long time. In the next 2 years, it's going to die because of the quality. But ordinary Zambians don't understand that the quality has been compromised. Same thing with solar panels. We find that we've got a lot of solar panels that are being sold. You find a 555 watts solar panel going for somewhere 3,000. It's not the real thing. You're actually getting the copy, the knockoff copy, which is intended for the low-income households, especially those things are designed for rural areas. But somebody wants this thing to come and operate for the next 5 years, 6 years. No, that's not true.
So,
the systems are expensive.
Just to get an understanding of what you're speaking on, right? What is a low-cost solar equipment? What is low-cost solar equipment? You know,
Yes.
in case for a layman listening in
Yes.
to your descriptions of what you're saying, you've talked about. I mean, I didn't know until this moment that an inverter is even low. There's even inverters that are low-cost solar equipment,
Yes.
right? So, give us a good description of what a low-cost solar equipment is.
Whatever I was just from mentioning, those are low-cost
All right.
solar equipment. I'm telling you, a 5 kVA inverter cannot go for the cost of 8,000, but you're finding it today in town being sold at 5,000. It's the same thing as you can't buy an iPhone worth 200 kwacha. You're going to tell yourself to say, this is not going to work in the long run. You will have that question. So these systems that are in town, that have flooded the Zambian market, are meant for rural areas. And in these rural areas, they are meant to be just as a standby system, not a system that is going to be running a modern house. It's a house that has got 2 fridges and a deep freezer and a TV, maybe a 42-inch, 32-inch TV, maybe 2 of them. Charge your batteries, charge your laptop as well as your phones. No, that thing is not going to work for a long time.
Maybe to further embellish on, Mainza's question, how is one to tell that this is low cost and this is high cost? I mean, obviously there's a cost disparity there, and people are able to tell, but for certain people, they're not really able to
tell,
to know based on price.
Yes.
Right? So how best can one identify what is a low
there are
cost
reputable brands, of course, just like we have in the motor vehicle branding. We have Toyota, we have got the Benz. So there are reputable brands, and people must be able to go onto the internet and find out on these brands. There are better brands. We've got the Mast brand, which is a very good brand. We've also got the Kodak brand, which is also another brand. The Kodak, that the company that was making cameras.
Exactly.
Yes, they've got inverters as well. These are very high quality.
And these are accessible within Zambia?
Yes, they're accessible. I do installations with those systems. Then we've got the Victron, which is the father of all inverters in the entire world. This is a very good system. So for a 5 kVA Victron system, you'll find it going for somewhere around 80,000 here in Zambia.
Right.
That's a very good brand. Then we've got the Kodak, which is on the better side, but it's more on the cost. The cost is more moderate. So this can go for 5 kVA to go around 25,000 to 30,000 for a 5 kVA system, which is a good system. These are now reputable brands that people can utilize. Even the batteries, they are reputable brands. So you have to actually do your own survey before you can even purchase these systems, because that in a way will reduce the costs for you in the long run, because you don't want to invest so much money into a system that will actually fail in the next 2 years or even 3 years. So these systems are supposed to run somewhere 8 years to 12 years with the batteries and the inverter. They are supposed to take that long, and then they are supposed to reduce your utility costs in the long run. And the type of technology that is being utilized with different systems, you have to understand. We've got high-frequency inverters and we've got low-frequency inverters. The high-frequency inverters, you can run small fridges in them, but you can never run heating elements or winding elements in them because they can easily break down. Then we've got the transformer-based inverters, which are low-frequency inverters. Now, these are normally Indian brands. We've got the Socam brand, which is a very good brand, Indian made. Then we've got Tiger Head inverters. Now, these are low frequency inverters. They're much on the expensive side, but they do last longer. You can run 3-4 fridges in them and they will not blow up. You can run your TV in them, they will not blow up. You can even actually use a pressing iron in them, but it's going to take a stress on your batteries, meaning that the lifespan of your batteries will be shortened. And these are things that ordinary Zambians are supposed to learn about and have this information before they can purchase any solar system that they want to put within their homes or backup system.
You know, listening into you, of course, I'm coming to the light that low-cost solar equipment may not function at the same level as high-cost solar equipment, right? So, I mean, you're saying big numbers, right? And for the ordinary Zambian, we're struggling with the conversation of, you know, meal.
Yes.
First of all, you know, it's slowly becoming a luxury in our homes. So how is it, considering the fact that renewable energy is the future, it is where we have to go to. Solar panels, inverters, and so many other options are things we have to now have in our homes, right? How can, I mean, what's going to make it more appealing to me as a Zambian, right, who is already working on a budget? How am I going to avoid purchasing, you know, low-cost equipment in comparison to more expensive equipment? What's going to make it more attractive? Because you know how I'm looking at it, Landy. It you know, it sounds quite difficult. You know,
Exactly.
So,
But along with that as well, you know, in terms of performance, right?
Yes.
Could low-cost equipment perform just as well as, you know, high-end tools or equipment in this regard?
No. So you see, the cost issue we've had it. You see, government actually zero taxed the equipment, but the landing cost of this equipment is still expensive. So now this is where government comes in with the private sector, bringing incentives to help alleviate the pain that ordinary Zambians will face when purchasing these systems. We need to come up with better policies that will attract the ordinary Zambians to buy this, lower the costs. The cost is high. I would not love to sugarcoat anything here. We are amidst the load shedding pandemic. A lot of people are going for the backup system, the solar system, to help them run their normal day-to-day livelihoods. But then the cost is high. As an installer, as somebody that is an expert in this sector, I would not sugarcoat anything. These are high-cost equipment. And anything to do with energy has got a high cost on it. And then now you have to understand that when you have backup systems, solar systems, the manufacturer has this in their mind to say once this person installs this, they are going to be actually generating free energy. So the initial cost is actually high when purchasing. But within the long run, prices for you as the end user, it will actually reduce your utility bill costs. So that's what the manufacturer is also looking at for them to gain back this. And of course, the technology is very new. And once technology is new, you know that it's going to be expensive. So this is the current situation that we have at hand. If government can come up with situations like to include experts such as myself, because we only have 7 new energy science and technology engineers in this country, and you're talking to one of them. And we studied, all of us in China, on how to build these systems from scratch. If we can start the manufacturing here in Zambia, reduce the cost of these systems, even assembling of some inverters. South Africa is doing that, Namibia is doing that, and I've also seen a Zimbabwean inverter was installing one last week. I was so shocked that the Zimbabweans are already doing this. They've got their own inverter that they're making, assembling, I believe it's being assembled. And that has also lowered the cost of these systems. We can learn from South Africa because South Africa has had this load shedding pandemic, and they've reverted or transitioned to using alternative sources of energy. Right. And how have they reduced the cost? Even them, they had this problem. So they delayed, they reduced the cost by starting the manufacturing of these systems. And mind you, Zambia has got one of the highest lithium ion deposits in the world. So meaning that if we can start the manufacturing process, rather than us exporting the lithium, we start manufacturing from here, and we give, we bring up policies not to export the lithium ion, but rather attract investors. Even Tesla vehicles, they are getting that lithium ion, the lithium ion mineral from Africa here, right. Zambia here, and then you go make the electric vehicles that side. But we don't even have an electric vehicle in terms of like a Tesla vehicle here in Zambia. But they are getting our minerals and making the Tesla vehicle.
On a light note, there's one that was built by the Copperbelt University.
Yes.
Well,
I mean, that was an interesting look.
Yes.
Our very own version of a Tesla. But
yes. And so now when you look at that, something that is coming from here, they are building these systems and utilizing them. While us, the people that own these raw materials, we are purchasing them at higher prices. Right. I don't think there's any Tesla vehicle here in Zambia. I've never seen one. I've never heard of one. But I do know of one electric vehicle that is being sold by Toyota Zambia, and it's not even been sold yet. It's still there. So that in itself tells us to say that the technology is expensive to purchase here in Zambia. So the government as well as the private sector must work hand in hand to reduce the cost. Even the landing cost, if we can start the productions of these systems here in Zambia, it will help in the long run to reduce the cost.
Right. You've spoken of, the various risks that lie within having to use up low-end solar equipment, such as, a pending maintenance cost in the long run. And even within the short term for other equipment that are so low in value. But what other risks would be, potentially associated with having to purchase low-end equipment?
So we have got system failures as well as fires. So the potential of you installing something that is cheap in case of it malfunctioning, and this is electricity we are talking about, so meaning that you are going to have risks in terms of fires. That's a big problem. When these things blow up, it's not small fires we're talking about. It's something that also people should put into consideration, even when they're installing these systems, to say any failures might lead to fires, which might lead to loss of property and loss of life. These are things we should put into consideration when we are purchasing these systems.
Right. What would be the best way of mitigating, the situation, as it were? I know you've alluded to the fact that government should possibly incentivize, as far as landing costs are concerned, and maybe establish plants. But within the short term, before these actual things are brought into being, what would be the way forward?
The way forward, firstly, it's government policies. So the policies are what attracts investments, funding into these systems. It's policies, the legislative part must be considered, especially by government, to say we must have consistent policies, and these policies must also attract foreign investors, and this will be a very good look for the country in the long run, even when it comes to including these alternative sources of energy into our national grid.
Right.
And then are there any hidden costs, maintenance costs as well, that are associated with low-cost solar equipment?
A lot. A lot. You'll find that once the inverter fails, something has blown up. You might need to change something in there. Maybe the MOSFETs, and MOSFETs are very expensive to purchase. You can only purchase them through Alibaba. Zambia doesn't have those, so you purchase them through Alibaba.
What are these called again?
MOSFETs.
Okay, I'll pretend I know what they are.
So MOSFET is a component within the inverter that actually allows for changes in terms of your appliances from DC energy to AC energy so that you can utilize on your home.
Right.
So now if these are overstressed, they burn up. In case you overload it, you put 3 fridges in an inverter that is not supposed to have 3 fridges, or an iron or even a stove into that system, you burn up that. So that's why I said the high frequency inverters use MOSFETs, while the low frequency inverters use transformers. So the technology is different.
Right.
But it's the same inverter, but just different technology. And one can operate using it can operate even under stressful conditions, and the other one cannot operate. Now with the cheap systems, you are forced to start doing the maintenance as soon as you install the system. You don't want something, you install something, and immediately after installation you're saying, no, Chideshima, it's going off. What is happening? Mr. Installer, how did you install this system? No, after some time it's giving a beeping sound. All that is going to be an inconvenience on you, and then it's going to have a running cost because you have to call the person that did the installation, and you foot the bill again. And then once these systems fail, you might be even be forced to replace the system to the much expensive system, just because the first system did not do what you desire of it to do. It didn't perform in accordance to how it's supposed to perform. So you'll be forced to replace the entire system, which will be a huge cost in the long run for you.
Right. What role, does the reputation and track record of the manufacturer play? I know you spoke earlier on this, mentioning quite a number of reputable brands in as far as solar equipment is concerned. But what role does this play in determining, the value of low-cost solar equipment as well?
It plays a big role because once you have a reputable brand, it means that you have something that has been tried on the market and it has tested its time, and also its performance. You know that it's a high-performing machine, and for a fact, it's just the same as an iPhone. You know that it's a high-performing cell phone or machine. Once you purchase it, you know that you are going to have little or less stress in terms of the technology, even advancements. Some of these reputable brands leave room for even expansion in terms of development of the technology, whereby you find an inverter, maybe they'll improve something, then they'll just bring a certain component that they will leave to say, this will leave room for this in case we expand on this, instead of the consumer purchasing another inverter. Maybe they'll just include this small component to it to enhance the performance.
Right.
Yes. Whereas with the low-cost inverters, you just have one thing, and that thing is just going to perform. It's poorly made. That's the thing. Right. That is a fact.
Do such things as warranties and guarantees come as well from these reputable brands?
Yes, reputable brands have got warranties and guarantees at the end of the day, which is a good fact. Whereas these unreputable brands, the Changsu type of systems do not have, they don't even give you a guarantee. Right. Even myself.
Is Changsu a real
right. Even myself as an installer, I do not install low quality systems unless the client actually demands for it to say, look, I don't have money. I need this thing. But I'm going to tell them, I do not guarantee you that these systems work. To your specifications, and don't put them under stress. Otherwise, if anything, I will not guarantee the fact that I installed these systems. Anything, then you're on your own at the end of the day. But if it's something that I've given to say, I've built this system, I've designed it for you, this is a system that you're supposed to use, can you pay and foot this bill? I'm going to take up the guarantee and say, this system won't malfunction at any particular point. From now to this date, you won't find any problem. There are systems that I personally have installed before that are that have been running for the past 5 years without even a problem. People will call me and tell me, "Oh, Mr. Zulu, your system works very beautifully. I really, really enjoy this system. I haven't had a problem. I don't even touch it. Right. Mostly we just look at it. We don't even feel the impact to say we are faced with load shedding. Normally we don't touch, so we don't even know that people have been load shedded. But whereas low quality systems, you're just going to feel the pain. It will be beeping, the system will be beeping, making noise for you. It will be irritating, power will be cutting at any particular point in time. Maybe let's say, for example, you're working on your desktop. If you're in the movie production system, you're maybe rendering a video, then you find that the power cuts. And then you find that even the ideas that you put in here to edit the video are gone.
Exactly.
So meaning that you are also faced with the risk of what your own security of whatever you're doing.
True.
Yes.
You know, just a side note, hey? I'd like to just pick your brain a little, okay? Load shedding is not going anytime soon, according to what is happening in our economy. But let me use your iPhone analogy, all right? iPhones are ideal, iPhones are great, you can trust them, but you cannot trust their chargers, charging port, and the stress that comes with a low battery, all right? So this is the one thing that Android users always tell us to say, your iPhones are amazing. Yes, guys, we will use them for
But
pictures,
they also have their own
but they're
defects.
such a pain.
Right.
And especially in times like this, iPhone users are suffering.
So
All right? No,
okay.
give me a minute, hey? So let's talk about solar energy in general, okay? Do you think, because you mentioned how the Zambian market is flooded with low-cost solar equipment, all right? And it becomes very difficult, as I mentioned earlier, because most of us are going through a lot, okay? Most of us can't afford high-cost and good quality solar equipment to be able to install in our homes. So with this kept in mind, do you think maybe the reputable brands or even people like you should be educating, or maybe we should be targeting the government entirely, to set up solar plants as opposed to, having an inverter at Landy's home and me being able to afford a solar panel on my roof or whatever it is. Don't you think, I just want to be able to understand or hear what your personal thoughts are on that. Do you think it's ideal for us to keep at least convincing the average Zambian to be able to purchase high quality solar equipment when they can barely afford millimil? All right.
Yeah,
As opposed to maybe
that's a
speaking to
very
the
beautiful
government.
question. But I'm also going to answer it like this. I'm here to educate the Zambians. That's why I'm seated in this seat talking to you, because we're educating the Zambians right now on what should be done. And obviously there are government people right now who are listening to this and are also taking into consideration what I'm talking about. For myself, this is something that I took upon myself to say, I'm going to educate the ordinary Zambians. I don't get paid for educating them, and even this knowledge, I went to school for it. I paid for this knowledge. So for me to give it out just for free, just like that, it means I'm also losing out somewhere. But then government needs to take up people like myself. We have only 7 new energy science and technology engineers. None of us are working for the government. 3/4 are working for, the other 4 are working for Chinese firms as Chinese translators. Not even what we were trained for. You get it. So now myself, who took up the torch to say, no, I'm going to open my own company and I'm going to run this company. We'll be doing installations, and every man should be able to help themselves. At the end of the day, what I'm doing is going to benefit not just me, but even those that will come after me. So this technology right now, I'm trying to spread out the news to say, this is what we're supposed to do. Listen here, I'm the educated guy. I know what I'm talking about. I know the technology very well. I can build the technology from scratch, and I can even improve the technology. And this is what is needed. Sometimes there are certain technologies we know that we just want to sell. But then I'll say, no, okay, as government, let's try to partner up with, can the government come here and the private sector? Let's try to partner up and build something that is going to be cost effective for the Zambian people, made by the Zambians, for the Zambians, and for Africa.
Exactly.
That would be a better look at it. Right now, ordinary Zambians are crying of hunger. We've got the energy deficit, because that one is not going away. If I had to break down the entire energy sector for you right now, if I, not even hours, it's something that is simple. You can project that in the next 3 months or 4 months, load shedding hours will increase.
Exactly.
At normal operation, we're supposed to produce over 3,600 megawatts. So our initial installed capacity is 3,800, but we normally leave a slack of about 200 megawatts so that we do not inconvenience. So we're only producing about 3,000. At normal operation, we're supposed to produce about 3,600. You understand that? Installed capacity is 3,800, but we normally, like the speedometer of your car, you can never reach 80. So you always leave that slack. You'll be 160 somewhere there. So that's the 200 that we are removing, firstly. So now we have a power deficit, and this power deficit is due to low water levels. The Kariba Dam, which accounts for 41% of our generation capacity, produces about 1,080 megawatts at full capacity, but currently is only producing 150 megawatts. So now, even the Kafue hydropower station is also producing less energy. So we've got an energy of deficit of somewhere 1,000. So we get 1,000 from 3,800. That will be a problem again. So now looking at that, we are seeing to say that there's a huge deficit, and 400 megawatts is exported outside the country.
Right.
So we are remaining with little energy. So in the long run, you'll find that in the next 4 months, we'll have longer load shedding hours.
Right. Well, Mr. Zulu, thank you so much, Engineer Zulu, for joining us this morning on the Sunrise Breakfast.
Thank you so much, and God bless Zambia.
Thank you. You know, Maisa, there's one thing that I've taken note of, in as far as Engineer Zulu's attitude is concerned. He says, you know, if a client gets to him with something that is of low cost, he would usually advise that they do not get into it, because it's going to, you know, have a higher cost. I think this is something that is lacking in a lot of business people.
It is. Lani, you know, integrity is expensive nowadays. It's a statement I got from someone I was speaking to recently. They say, you know, it's just something that's very hard to find, you know, because everybody's trying to make a quick buck, right? But to be able to find... I mean, we should uphold you for that. You know, the fact that you will advise people and tell them the truth on it, you know, and it's up to you as an individual to say, you know what, can I suffer?
That's right.
So I think it's good.
That's right. Well, we could go on and on talking, but as everything does have a start, mostly we usually do come to an end. And this is where we get to end the Sunrise Breakfast Show. Thank you so much for being in tune with us. Remember that we come on your screens between the hours of 7 to 9. We came on a little later owing to, you know, various troubles that we did get to just undergo as well here. But you can catch us again tomorrow, and remember to follow along as well with the conversation via our Facebook page. We're at Ask Movie TV. My name is Landilani Banda, and on behalf of our guests in Engineer you know, Zulu, as well as a renowned economist in Kelvin Chisanga, thank you so much for being in tune this morning.